Everyone knows the Grateful Dead covered Not Fade Away. But here's what most people miss. They didn't just cover it. They transformed a Buddy Holly B-side into a 25-year promise between a band and their audience. And by the time it was over, that promise had been kept more than 500 times. The song started simple enough. Buddy Holly and Norman Petty wrote it in 1957. It was the B-side to Oh Boy. Not even the main single. The whole thing was built on a variant of the Bo Diddley beat, that infectious rhythm that gets in your bones. During the original recording, drummer Jerry Allison literally tapped the beat on a cardboard box. That's how raw and fundamental this rhythm was. Just a box, a beat, and a promise. My love will not fade away. The Rolling Stones got to it first,
Love is love and I'll fade away.
releasing their version in 1964 as their first U.S. single. It hit number 3 in the UK, became their first top 10 hit. So by the time the Grateful Dead picked it up in early 1969, this wasn't some obscure deep cut. This was a rock and roll standard that already had history. But the Dead did something that changes everything. They changed one word. One single word that rewrites the entire meaning of the song. Buddy Holly sang, My love will not fade away. The Grateful Dead sang, Our love will not fade away. My, our, singular to plural, personal to collective. That's not a cover, that's a conversation. That's the Dead telling their audience, this isn't about me singing to you. This is about us, together, creating something that won't fade. The first documented performance was February 19, 1969, at the Fillmore West in San Francisco. Early versions were these sprawling, jam-heavy explorations. Bill Kreutzmann and Mickey Hart on dual drums, creating this massive rhythmic foundation. Bob Weir would shout, Not fade away, between verses, and the band would stretch the song out into long improvisations, using that E major key as a launching pad for wherever they wanted to go. And that E major key, that wasn't accidental. E major is flexible, it's open. Almost every song the Dead paired with Not Fade Away used the same key, which meant they could flow seamlessly from one tune to another. In 1969 and 70, they'd pair it with St. Stephen or Love Light. The song became a vehicle, a connector, a space where anything could happen. Then came October 10, 1970. That's the night they debuted Going Down the Road Feeling Bad. And suddenly, a structure emerged, Not Fade Away, flowing into Going Down the Road, then back to a Not Fade Away reprise. For the next 3 years, this combination was almost mandatory. If you caught a show between 1970 and 1973, you were probably going to hear this sequence, the full sandwich with the reprise bringing it home. It became part of the language of a Grateful Dead concert. Look at the numbers. In 1970, they played it 60 times. In 1971, 51 performances. These weren't casual throw-ins. This was a song they were actively exploring, pushing, seeing how far they could take it. But then something interesting happens. By 1973, performances dropped to single digits. Same with 1975. The band went on hiatus. Mickey Hart left in early 1971, and suddenly they were a four-piece. When Keith Gottschalk joined on piano later that year, the song tightened up. His piano reinforced the beat, added melodic color, but the performances became more focused. Listen to the April 5, 1971 version from the Grateful Dead album. Skull and Roses, as everyone calls it. That's the model right there. Tight four-man version, Jerry Garcia's melodic lines weaving through, dynamic ebb and flow. It's not the sprawling jam vehicle anymore. It's become something else. After the hiatus, when they came back in 1976, Mickey Hart returned. Double drums again, but it's different now. The versions from 1976 are slower, more deliberate. Through 1977, they pick up tempo, but there's a power to them. Donna Jean Gottschalk's vocals add new harmonies. The December 29, 1977 version shows this perfectly. Double drum attack, vocal interplay between Garcia, Weir, and Donna. this busy but forceful energy. Then, fall 1978, they start introducing rhythmic breaks during the verses, little stops and starts that make the audience lean in. By the time Brent Midland joins on keyboards in 1979, the song is evolving again. Versions get shorter, more focused, less about extended jamming, more about something else entirely. And here's where it becomes a ritual. Starting in April 1983, the Dead began ending their second sets with Not Fade Away. But they don't just play it and stop. They play it and then they leave the stage. The band walks off. And the audience keeps going, keeps clapping the Bo Diddley beat, keeps chanting, "Our love will not fade away." The music stops, but the song doesn't end. It can't end because the audience won't let it. Think about what that means. The band literally hands the song over to the crowd and walks away, and the crowd holds it, carries it, proves the lyric true by refusing to let it fade. That's not a performance anymore. That's a communion. From that point forward, Not Fade Away isn't really about the jamming. It's about the moment when thousands of people become one organism, one heartbeat, all clapping the same rhythm, all singing the same promise. Our love will not fade away. Not yours, not mine, ours. The song became a vehicle for guest musicians too. John Cipollina from Quicksilver Messenger Service jammed on it at least 10 times with the Dead. Members of the Allman Brothers joined in during 72 and 73. Carlos Santana sat in on January 13, 1980, creating this four-way guitar interplay before they transitioned into Sugar Magnolia. Bruce Hornsby, Branford Marsalis, Pete Townsend, they all played Not Fade Away with the Grateful Dead. Why? Because the song is generous. The Bo Diddley beat is so fundamental, so elemental, that it makes space for anyone to join. It's not precious, it's not delicate. It's a rhythm and a promise, and anyone can add to it. There's something about that beat, too. The Dead played other songs with the Bo Diddley rhythm, Women Are Smarter, Iko Iko, Who Do You Love? But Not Fade Away became the one. Maybe it's because the lyrics are so simple, so direct. My love's bigger than a Cadillac. Pure 1950s Americana imagery. The kind of overwhelming love that's too hard to handle, but real love, the kind that doesn't fade. By the 1980s and into the 90s, the template was set. Often the song came after the drum solo. From fall 1982 onward, it was frequently preceded by throwing stones. The March 15th and March 24th, 1990 performances show this perfectly. Short jams, vocal exchanges, audience chanting. It's not about where the band can take the song anymore. It's about bringing the audience into the song, making them part of it. Even when Vince Welnick replaced Brent in 1990, the song stayed. Through every lineup change, every era, every evolution of the band's sound, Not Fade Away survived. More than survived, it remained essential. Because it wasn't really about the band's performance. It was about what happened when the band and the audience became one thing. The exact count depends on who you ask. Deadbase says about 530 performances. Setlist.fm counts 559. Wikipedia claims more than 600. The numbers vary, but the span is undeniable. From February 19, 1969 at the Fillmore West to July 5, 2015 at Soldier Field during the Fare Thee Well shows, 46 years of keeping that promise. Our love will not fade away. And here's the thing about that final performance. The Fare Thee Well shows in 2015, Trey Anastasio, Bruce Hornsby, and the surviving Core 4 coming together one last time. They could have closed with Touch of Grey, their biggest hit. They could have done Trucking or Casey Jones or any number of songs more famous, more commercially successful. But they closed with Not Fade Away. The song that promised communal love. The song that turned the audience into participants. The song that for 3 decades of shows proved again and again that some things really don't fade. Think about what that means. A band that built their entire career on improvisation, on never playing the same show twice, on the philosophy that every night was unique and unrepeatable. That band chose to end their story with a song about permanence, about love that endures, about promises kept. Because that's what Not Fade Away became. Every time they played it, every time they walked off stage while the audience kept the beat alive, they were proving it true. The Dead's love for their community, the community's love for the Dead, the love between strangers who became family in the space between stage and floor, none of it faded. Buddy Holly sang about personal romantic love. The Dead sang about something bigger, the kind of love that fills stadiums and survives decades, and turns a cardboard box rhythm into a heartbeat that thousands of people can share simultaneously. There's this moment that happens at Dead shows, right? When everyone in the room is clapping the same beat, singing the same words, moving as one organism. Time gets weird. The boundaries between individual people get fuzzy. For a few minutes, maybe you're not yourself anymore. Maybe you're part of something larger, something collective, something that really might not fade. That's what the Grateful Dead did with Not Fade Away. They took a 3-minute rock and roll cover and turned it into a ritual that spanned decades. They took a singular promise and made it plural. They took a Bo Diddley beat hammered out on a cardboard box and turned it into proof that community, connection, and love can endure through lineup changes, personal tragedies, cultural shifts, and time itself. The song says the love is bigger than a Cadillac. By the end, the Dead had proven it was bigger than any one person, any one band, any one moment. It was big enough to hold hundreds of performances, dozens of guest musicians, multiple generations of fans, and nearly 5 decades of history. And on that last night in Chicago, when they played it for the final time, the audience kept clapping after the band walked off. Just like always, kept the beat going, kept the promise alive. Because some things really don't fade away.